California Department of Fish and Game, State Historic Preservation Office, Imperial County, the Irrigation District, the Water Board, the Air Board. We're trying to understand at this stage, even though there's not a specific project at a specific location proposed, the Navy wants to know what would agency concerns be if a proposed project is proposed, if there is specific development proposed, so that understanding agency concerns can help inform the Navy decision makers as to what the issues might be going forward. The Navy is consulting with the tribes. 32 letters have been sent out to solicit comments about concerns of local tribes. And we're also looking to the public, local agencies, environmental groups, recreation groups, anyone else that might be a stakeholder or an interested party that could be affected by the proposed program. So the scoping was initiated early in May. It was notice of intent was published in the Federal Register. It's been published in the newspaper, and the notice of this meeting was published. We're holding public scoping meetings in both El Centro, next to Superstition Mountain, as well as in San Diego, because we know recreationalists, it's hard to say, also live in the San Diego area. So we want to make it easy to make comments on the program. And the comments we're looking for is, what should the scope of the environmental review be? What should the environmental document address in terms of addressing the Navy program on Navy lands? And, you know, do you have ideas about what the alternatives to the proposed project are? Keeping in mind that the project objective is to develop geothermal resources on Naval Air Facility El Centro lands. The Navy and Department of Defense and Department of Interior have already looked at how should we meet our energy needs. There was a geothermal environmental impact statement in the 70s that addressed what should our renewables be, and that's when the decision was made to address to develop geothermal resources on Navy lands. So the alternatives won't look at, you know, let's put solar over here, let's do wind turbines, because the decision has already been made to address geothermal in this on Department of Defense lands as opposed to other resources right now. So the scope of our document is to address what are the effects of developing the geothermal resources. So we're looking for public comments. The public comment period's open through July 5th. That's about a 2-month period. And when we publish the draft EIS later this year, that will be available for public comment for 60 days. And so you have multiple opportunities to comment. The Navy will address comments received on the draft environmental impact statement, and the final programmatic impact statement will address the Navy's preferred alternative. So we wanted to give an idea of, we've done some preliminary looks, we're just starting the analysis, there's some biological issues we want to look at, considering some of the potential approaches, biology and cultural resources are always a concern. This is a program, so we're not doing detailed surveys of the entire study area at this point. We're doing a literature search. We're consulting with the tribes, trying to understand if there are any potential adverse effects on tribal uses. Recreation's a big use in the area. We want to understand what the effects are. This graphic, it's a little bit hard to see with the greens, but these green lines here show some of the OHV routes. Now, we know this is not the only map. There are many maps showing many different routes, and what we're trying to do is collect all of those to understand the use areas around the Navy lands. But we understand that this is an important issue, so we're looking for input in that area. Although the Navy, Navy lands are closed for recreational use. So we're looking at the potential for conflicts with the Navy mission at the Navy base, because the Navy mission is primary. Other topics we'll be addressing are effects on groundwater, hydrology, the geothermal resource, visual resources, noise, air quality, traffic, the full range of NEPA parameters. So the alternatives usually come out of the impact analysis, which we haven't done yet, to look at how could we meet the purpose and need and the objectives with less environmental effect. We haven't identified any obvious ones at this point, other than the first alternative would be the proposed action. The second alternative could be to reduce the amount of area that the Navy opens to the geothermal development program on Navy lands, and we'll also address the no action alternative. So where we are today in the process of preparing the environmental impact statement, Steve had mentioned that there's been some preliminary geothermal exploration by the Navy just to get a sense of, is there a reason to go forward with the program to help provide data? So the nation-to-nation consultation has been initiated. The notice of intent has been published, and we're starting the scoping process here, and we're looking for public comments. And you can submit the comments through the project website, the program website, which is
www.superstitionmountainEIS.com. It'll be on one of the next slides.
And or you can send written comments to Steve at the Navy. There's the website, and we also have some forms here if you wanted to write some comments out tonight. We'd be happy to take those and address those. So that's our schedule. We hope to have the draft out by the end of the year and have that available for public comment. And so if the document published at the end of the year, then the final, the draft will be out for 60 days public review, and then we'll consider and respond to the comments, prepare the final EIS, and then hopefully by June the Navy will be ready to make a decision. So that's an overview of the process, a little bit long-winded, but there's a lot to say. And so now we're ready to try and answer your questions or take your comments. It's all explained, it's all clear now?
Otherwise, I'll start talking. Okay, just off the top of my head, and I apologize for not being more prepared for this, I'm just curious, for workers, so this is an outsider company that's coming into the Imperial County. Will they be hiring local workers? Will they be training local workers? Will there be some sort of agreement with local working agencies, perhaps for them to teach the local workforce, some skills? And on top of that, if this company is going to be bringing in workers, what will be done for housing and transportation, as well as other support structures out there? And with that, I'm curious if Van Jones and Green Jobs, that's something else. But anyways, I'm curious if the Lehman company could work with the IBC for possibly taking on interns who would learn the industry from the inside, and possibly providing, as a result, some resources back to IBC. Will green technology be used in the construction or some of the other facility or the support facilities, such as not having greater impact? Or I like the idea of having a zero left beam. I apologize.
Emissions?
Zero emissions, but I like the idea that for decommission. So will there be, basically, will the land be cleaned up if this plant closes up completely and decides to go away? Will there be, nothing left behind?